call the Personnel Committee meeting to order. Under discussion, privilege of the floor. Does anyone have anything they'd like to discuss at this time? Okay. Yes, Matthew.
Just quickly, I just wanted to let you know that, as I said last meeting, you have the resumes, the bios, and some statements of support for the personnel office appointment, officer appointments. So that's in your folder. If there's any questions, let us know.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, does anybody have any questions at this time that they'd like to ask, or have some time to look at it and then follow up? Excellent, thank you. The first thing, we have some administrative updates. We all got it in our folder last week, but just to run through some broad strokes, we have the grant-funded positions. These were all administrative directives that I very much support that the executive's doing. They're just structural, organizational things that I think is going to be a real asset to the county. So the grant funding positions, so there's an order to it. And once the employee research manual is done and completed, that will be brought before us as well. But having this detailed update brought before us, the other thing that was included was the dress code for the county employees, and detailing that I think is also an asset. The disciplinary procedures updated was something that needed to be updated, like many things. There was a sick leave sheet that was included. So having all of this, we have a lot of employees. We have a lot of things that need to be bureaucratically addressed. And I'm very, very happy to see all of this. The next thing is something I love to see, which was a peer recognition reward program. So instead of just constantly looking at a negative, possibly recognizing the positive, because we do have some wonderful employees. And leave time, addressing all of the needs that need to be addressed from a human resources perspective. So on that front, I just wanted to acknowledge all of those things that were addressed in that packet from a personnel perspective, and thank them for their time. So that's an excellent start. And the other thing was a separate update. Now we're getting monthly and bi-monthly reports from the county executive, in addition to from the legislative body, which is excellent. I think keeping this going is something that's going to be an advantage for us and the executive branch to all work together for communication to let us know what's going on. So the Risk Management and Employee Safety Committee was so detailed that this was exciting to see. All of the new things that we're investing with new companies, that all of the progress that we're making. So if anybody has any questions in those things that were given to us, or at any time, feel free. The last thing, an update on the union contract. We're still in mediation with the Teamsters. And the mediation with the Teamsters was on January 20th. We also held a benefits fair with the Teamsters, and it was held at the jail on February 4th. Unfortunately, it wasn't a large turnout. So we're continuing that. We also had a meeting that was held on March 4th. There was some progress there, but we're still waiting for results. We are having another meeting on April 15th, tax day. So thank you for that. The PBA and the corrections as well, it's all going to probably be going together. So, and the non-bargaining, we look to hopefully, did you catch all that, Tom? Tie up in April and bring it to you in May. So that's about it for that. So if anybody has any questions, the first resolution, the resolution establishing a position for a probation officer trainee. I'll sponsor. I need a second.
Second.
Ryan. Lucille's here if we need any explanations.
Do you want an explanation of why I need this?
No, I think you already told us that.
Okay. It's for the pretrial program.
Yeah.
Moving over from Youth Bureau. Excellent. Okay. Wishes of the committee?
Full board.
Great. Okay, on to the second resolution. A resolution to hire a temporary part-time principal account clerk typist. Sponsor in a second. I'll sponsor.
Second.
Tom? Okay, any questions? This is just a 4-week position. Any questions? Wishes of the committee? Move it. Okay, anything else?
Yes.
Yes.
I was under the impression that Matt was going to give us his appointments for county attorney and personnel director next month or a little later, but now that we have them in front of us, they were just
Well,
giving.
those aren't the official appointments, those are, I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
Well, I was gonna offer up 2 resolutions to put them on so we could do it at our March 24th meeting, but I mean,
I am certainly not opposed to that. I am not going to be here next week.
There's no need for us to move ahead and appoint him because they'll be acting.
They'll be.
no, I know, I just thought if he was doing it, it says he's gonna do it as of April 1st, why not? You have a chance to do whatever you wanna do with the gal anyway, talk to him, I support it.
Here's a question. Would you be uncomfortable, understanding that you're not going to be here?
I'm not uncomfortable, I just wanted to make sure that the legislature had their time to do their due diligence through the committee review process. It really, the question is if you're comfortable. If you're comfortable, I'm comfortable. I'll leave it at that.
I've had the privilege to work with Nicole for many months now. I am more than comfortable with her. I think that she's going to do an exemplary job. And I have had the pleasure to get to know Megan, to get to know her much better. But I think that she is more than qualified for the job. And I think the only way to really get started is to get started. So if the legislator is...
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I know them both very well.
Yeah.
I know what Matt's appointments and what he wants. I'm very strongly behind both of them. Why not just do it and why dwell on it for another month unless there's somebody that's just strongly opposed? I thought it would come to our committee anyway, and it's just the 3 of us. And we're just moving it forward and making it. And then, but if you'd rather wait, then it's not going to make my decision any different unless both of them.
What are your
It just looked like
wishes?
you wanted to put them in there April 1st, and I realize they're acting, I know the rules.
No, I mean, listen, I'd rather take care of things sooner than later, but I just wanted to make sure I was respectful of the legislature and your role in this and having the time to, vet and do that stuff. But if you feel comfortable, by all means, I'm certainly not opposed. We'll have that resolution ready and on your desk for next week.
Well, I would put it up tonight, we're just accepting it, but unless you don't want to. Whatever you guys
Why are you
want.
looking at me?
Because you are the third. Unfortunately, we only have 3.
3, yeah.
I mean, if we could do
No,
a...
I mean, as far as my feelings go on both appointments, I'm 100% comfortable and excited for both. The only thing that I would throw in is just, I'm going to tend to be more of the stickler for procedure, that we, go through that the memo comes down, and, I mean, it doesn't change any of the actual, substance of it, but, to then put it on and just have that scheduled. But, I mean, I'm not gonna.
I mean, we're still gonna go through all the procedure, the resolution tonight is just accepting the appointment. We fill in the name after he makes the appointment this week or whatever.
And my understanding is the charter defines the confirmation process as the committee review process. So I think that's
process, whatever that's supposed to mean as written in our charter. So, you know, there's the discussion and then it moves to full board.
I would offer up 2 separate resolutions to put that on our agenda for next week, tonight, with obviously the names. If you want to leave the names blank, leave it blank, and then we amend it next week.
I'll second.
Martin?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
On both of them? Yep.
But separate resolution, one
Separate
for Nicole, and one
One
for
for the
Megan.
personnel director and one for county.
All right.
And if the appointment doesn't come for us officially, or through the memo, then it's just tabled until the following month. For some reason, you
Yes.
don't get it done.
I just want to say for the record, I met with them both, and I do not have an issue with this. So, okay.
Wonderful.
I guess I wouldn't be jumping to do this that quick if I didn't know that had already happened by just about everybody in the room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was a brand new candidates that none of us had known, that I wouldn't even consider opening my mouth tonight, but we're.
I agree. I think if we already didn't have kind of a committee review process in many ways, none of us would be so quick.
And we're not forfeiting that, as Ryan said, for the future. We can do whatever we want.
Okay. Cheryl?
No vacation until I get the appointment letter.
And we're going to be a stickler on that one.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't say anything seriously.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir.
Chair, for the record, I would just, I'm not on the committee, but I just would like to say I support both candidates 100%.
Thank you. Thank you, Legislator Diamond. Okay, I support both resolutions as well. So we'll go forward with those. And if there's nothing else under the Personnel Committee,
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Since we're in limbo right now, Nicole is making coffee, so it's expected of you as part of the review process to make me coffee.
I'm not sure you want that part.
Yeah, just for the record, Nicole, they don't get it from me.
That's not true.
Why is this so much?
You take us to the store and we run out of gas.
Spicy short.
This is like a shareable chair. This has a good view, Bart.
Does that have to be there, or?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I think that's Matt's gonna give the state of the county.
Well, I didn't know if so. Oh, really? Oh, okay.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Education and Government Committee to order. First up, any discussion from any committee members or legislators? Hearing none, our first order of business is a resolution adopting introductory local law B of 2015, a local law of the County of Montgomery, New York, allowing for common safe items to be excluded from the dangerous fireworks definition as permitted by New York State Penal Law, Section 405B, Office of the Legislature, sponsored by Wheeler and Diamond. Any discussion on the resolution?
Yes, I just want to say I do support this. This has been passed by a few counties, most recently Orange, Essex, and Chemung County. And it's going before 3 more counties next week. This could be an asset to the county in many ways. It's always something that can build revenue. It's been shown, it was passed by the governor most recently, and I think this can be a nice opportunity. All of the guidelines are spelled out, so.
Now we don't have to worry on the 4th of July.
Exactly.
As long as they are, sparkling devices? And they fit the definition?
Yeah,
Every.
sparkling devices.
I'd just like to point out that the legislative impact form was updated this afternoon. So if, depending on when you looked at it, it may be a little different. We added some more language to that, but it, you know, stayed in its form. Yes.
Make a motion to move to full board.
Full board. Any opposed?
Just you and I.
All right. Okay, that moves. Under other, I'd just like to inform you all that I am aiming to get you all 2 lengthy drafts of charter amendments within the month of April. Right now, I'm kind of leaning towards, and I would open it up for comments, presenting 2 different local laws to the legislature, and then having a lengthy, I hope, a lengthy review process and a lot of discussion. And you know, if the chairman is willing to have a couple committee of the whole meetings, we can block out, you know, the first half, or even break it into thirds, quarters, whatever we want to do, and go through it line by line so we're all comfortable with it. But general format, what I think would make the most sense and would be the most efficient way to go about it, given the certain regulations pertaining to passive referendum, and then everything else that we can change just by local law. I think it would be wise to first entertain a local law that would amend the charter in its entirety, but would not transfer any powers of any elected officials. And by doing so, we could pass it by, like any other local law, like the one we passed through tonight. And in that, we can reformat the entire charter, add in departments that were left out, change provisions that, you know, we've discussed and we will discuss going forward, but will not affect any elected official. And we can set an effective date, whether it be immediately or, you know, any date in the future. January 1st, 2016, for example, would, you know, we can discuss that at that point. Secondly, I think after entertaining that local law, I think it would be appropriate to entertain a secondary local law that would amend the sections dealing primarily with financial control, the county legislature, and the county executive, to clarify that language, those things that we've been talking about for over a year now, just that could possibly be interpreted as a transfer of powers or a further definition of powers that are subject to permissive referendum. And if we pass that in a subsequent local law, that and that only would be subject to permissive referendum. And the reason for doing so in those 2 separate parts would be, if we pass that first local law that cleans up, you know, the issues in the charter that do not deal with elected officials, that becomes law. It's done at that point. And then that secondary local law moves forward, subject to permissive referendum, with a potential ballot place this coming November. And whether that would pass or not, you know, if it were to go up for referendum and it did not achieve the majorities in the towns, in the city, in the county as a whole, that first local law would still be in effect. And we wouldn't have to go back and readdress anything. So potentially, I think we should try to aim for May. We could go for June and still get it on, still have enough time for November, but it's going to be tight. And I would feel much more comfortable going with May. Entertaining the local law by the full legislature. So that was kind of a little, here and there, but that's what I'm looking at for right now. And like I said, getting that out to all of you in April at some point. I do want NISAC to take a look at it and it may be happening at the same time as us, so there might be some final last-minute tweaks, but it would just be mainly language and specific words, but that's where we're at with that. Any questions, concerns, any other business to come before the committee? If not, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Very good, we are adjourned.
Roy.
Roy, you only remember?
Oh, okay. Sure.
You got the one.
Oh,
So, as many of you are aware, the charter, can you flip it from here?
That's
Oh,
good.
yes, yes. Okay, so I'm gonna, so the charter says that we have to provide an update to the legislature in March. Because, we've typically done this through the Chamber of Commerce and a breakfast event. Last year it was discussed that we really technically should do it here. So that's what we're doing tonight. I'm pretty much gonna give the same presentation. I'm gonna scrunch it down. It was about an hour and 15 minutes, and it's not gonna be anything close to an hour and 15 minutes tonight, but I would say that this could be a dialogue. So if there's questions or you wanna stop and make a comment or whatever it may be, please feel free, because I'm gonna buzz through a lot of this stuff pretty fast. But all in all, I think, what's in here is certainly not going to be very new to any of you. These are all things that we've been working on together. And once we get this up and running, we'll get started. I'll say, one of the first things that I started off with at the State of the County breakfast was a little piece of the narrative for the branding, and I'll share that with you. It's that quality in a person that drives them to get up and dust themselves off when knocked down. It's that disposition that doesn't waste time asking if the glass is half empty or half full, because the point is there's water to drink and hard work makes you thirsty. So that was the tone that we started with the State of the County speech, and I think that represents what we've been doing, and it represents Montgomery County very well. Montgomery County is full of determined, hardworking, many blue-collar type people who, get up, go to work every day, and enjoy this county, but are also very, strong-willed type people. And that's going to be the theme. You're going to see the theme of strength over and over and over as we start to deploy this brand. So the way this goes, and the way I'm going to do it every year, is the 5 principles that I've settled on. And I think we have collectively as a group. Each year, we're going to take a look at each principle, what accomplishments we've had, and what the goals are for the future. And like a broken record here, it's the same things we've been talking about: sound budgeting and financial planning, the implementation of the regional economic development plan, the regional business plan. That's essentially the economic development portion of this, which is probably the biggest portion. The infrastructure and public safety piece, local government efficiency plan, and organizational improvements. So we start out with first the laying a strong financial foundation. Together we adopted an on-time, unanimously approved budget that closed our operating deficit by $1.1 million, reduced our reliance on fund reserves to balance the budget, and at the same time we did that, we were able to fund some key public safety and infrastructure projects and stay under the tax cap. So that's a delicate balance, and that's what we were able to accomplish, and I think we certainly got off to a good start as far as our budgeting goes. Now, here we are 1 year later, and 1 year post-MOSA, and that was our big issue. Do we go private? Do we bring this in-house? It was a big, a lot of question marks there. Well, I think we made a fantastic decision. Financially, we're coming up in about a year right now. We are ahead of the game. Our volume is up, and which has helped us financially. The residents of this county have not seen barely any impact at all. It's actually the tipping fee has gone down a little bit, which is a good thing. And I always said, and I know you guys agreed, and ladies agreed, that if we did our job, we wouldn't hear anything. If we didn't do it right, there'd be people with pitchforks and protest signs. So certainly that we're not seeing that is a good thing. And our county DPW has been doing a great job managing the landfills, hauling the leachate, staying on top of that, making sure the environmental work's being done, the testing's being done. All that has been going well. And as a big piece of this, we eliminated our GAT liability, which was the guaranteed annual tonnage, which then resulted, we'll go to the next one, in a boost in our credit rating. We haven't had an A+ credit rating in many, many years. And a big reason for that is we don't have this potential multi-million-dollar liabilities out there. So, you know, Standard & Poor's, this is what they said. They said our overall net debt profile is very strong. This upgrade will allow us to finance improvements at a lower cost by securing lower interest rates. And again, that instability is now gone from the shortfall in gross annual tonnage. So it gives us a more stable economic outlook and it increases our potential for growth. So that's a kudos to you and the team, and we did a good job there, and you're seeing real results that are putting us in a better position as we move forward. So next, as we look forward to next year, when I deliver my executive budget address, we're gonna focus on closing that budget deficit by another $1 million, which will mean together if we can do that, we cut it in half in our first 2 years, which I think is important. I think this year you're going to see more of an emphasis on reducing total spending, which I think is important. There was, you know, we had a jump in spending last year, and about over $3 million of it, but I'd say close to 50% of that increase in spending was due to the solid waste changes that we made. So that really bumped us up by well over $3 million in spending, but there was matching revenue that came in, and when you look at that revenue coming in versus what we're spending, we're in a good position right now, and the revenues are outpacing the expenses. So, but I think as we look to this year, we really, you know, can take a hard look on ensuring that the overall budget goes down this year, and that's a goal of mine for sure. And you know, continue effective financial planning to provide tax stability. You know, again, so we don't see these big jumps, you know, mountains and valleys like we've seen in the past, and keep that tax rate you know, consistent. And I think that'll help provide for families and businesses in the county to plan for out years. And as well as, and I think we have a lot of support for this, continuing our investments in infrastructure and necessary upgrades, and you know, really making that investment in the future that will pay dividends for many, many years, likely after all of us are gone. So those are going to be the priorities. This isn't really the budget speech. This is just kind of laying out some of the principles and what to expect moving forward. Next, we've just recently signed 2 contracts with Bonadillo, our auditing firm, which I certainly want to say I couldn't have agreed more with the legislature's decision to bring on Bonadillo. I think they're a fantastic firm, very well respected. They're doing 2 audits and an analysis in personnel. First, we're going department by department through DSS. The track record they have in the specialization that they have in these audits that they do, they've saved other counties millions of dollars, and that's where I actually first heard of them. Other county executives were bragging of the work that they've done and making sure things are coded properly, internal controls are there, there's quality control procedures, and those types of things. So that is starting now, and that's going to give us a detailed analysis of every program area in DSS, which, as we all know, is the biggest chunk of our county budget. So it'll help you, that report will help you make decisions and help us make decisions internally moving forward, as well as personnel. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes. We've lost about, you know, well, by the end of the week, we would have lost about 60 years of experience in personnel. And while, you know, certainly there's going to be big shoes to fill, we're moving forward. And this personnel analysis is going to give us cost projections for our health insurance, our retiree costs out 3 years, so we can, you know, again, better plan, start thinking more long-term as far as our budgeting, as well as review, you know, health insurance, labor agreements, county policies and directives, payroll and workers' compensation, and we'll be providing you with periodic updates as to our findings and fiscal projections. And then at the end, there's going to be some recommendations that we'll review together, and I asked for some of the financial piece, or for not the policy, but more the numbers, the crunching of the numbers to be done before budget time, so we have that when we're, we're looking at next year's budget. So, very excited about these two things. I think, knowledge is power, and it's going to give us more information to make better decisions. Moving on, this is a big piece of the speech. A lot of great news. When I gave this speech, actually, was the day after the announcement for Amsterdam Print. Now, there was a real question on whether or not Amsterdam Printing and Litho would remain in Montgomery County. And it's something that the Business Development Center has worked with Amsterdam Print and state officials over the past couple months to make sure they stay here, as well as those 365 jobs. That would have been a killer blow, not only to the town of Amsterdam, but the county of Montgomery as one of our larger employers. So I'm very, very happy and very proud of the work that was done. We worked, as you saw last week, the $900,000 CDBG grant, and you have moved that to full board. You'll be taking that up next week. That was the work of our Business Development Center, as well as coordinating with Empire State Development, who offered a performance-based incentive that totals about $3.25 million. So, as well as the New York State Power Authority, who is offered some low-cost power to be used over the next 7 years. That in itself was a monumental victory for the county to keep them here, keep those jobs here, and I think it was good work to them, and it was great timing for the State of the County speech, frankly. But there's certainly a lot more going on, and they're getting results. At the time of the speech, this was not public, but as we saw at the last IDA meeting, we've assembled a team to help be a catalyst for economic development projects. We brought together, through this public-private partnership, the United Group of Companies, which includes LaChase Construction Services, CBRE, and McDonald Engineering, that will work closely with us to attract private sector investment to our business parks. A lot of times, what other counties do is they have these arrangements with these firms, and it helps provide that capital when projects come up, and it helps just further what you can offer when you're trying to attract businesses to these parks. And having those resources in place, that access to capital on the private side, can be a huge catalyst for economic development. This was about a year in the making, and I know that even Ken's going to be traveling out to Albany area tomorrow to meet with them on a couple things. So we have here as many as 5 smaller business facilities and a single large distribution style complex are being considered for the Florida Business Park extension, and up to 4 sites are under active evaluation for the Glen Canal Business Park. So there's a lot of activity going on behind the scenes with this private-public partnership, and as more information becomes available and things begin to firm up, we'll certainly keep you posted on that. Next, we have, as many of us heard, the Business Development Center has been shepherding the Concordia Senior Community Project. Not only is that, I think 100 construction jobs and 200 permanent jobs. Please don't quote me on those numbers because I'm a little fuzzy right now, but the jobs are huge. The $30 million investment's huge. It's one of the biggest private sector investments in the city of Amsterdam in many, many years. But more importantly, it's going to allow families to stay in Montgomery County. There's a lot of people that end up having to leave because they don't have the services that are going to be provided at this facility. So I think giving someone the opportunity to stay in the place where they've lived for 60, 70, 80 years is certainly going to be a big quality of life plus for us. And the fact that the Business Development Center has shepherded this along is another kudos to them. We've all heard, we got to see what happens in the state. In all your packets, you have the NISAC analysis of where each house is with the state budget. And one of those big key differences that you'll notice in there is this $1.5 billion regional economic development competition. We are preparing as if it will stay the way the governor wants it. And that's how we've been working with the other counties in our region, which include Fulton, Otsego, Schoharie, Oneida, and Herkimer. very well together. We're all on the same page. There's been meetings going on weekly at this point. We have certainly a seat at the table and some representatives from Montgomery County to make sure that we're offering our input and making sure that we, want to try to bring home those dollars for Montgomery County. Now, we got to see how this goes on the state level. There's an interesting, for the political junkies out there, there's an interesting dynamic going on because the governor has really consolidated the mechanism in which this money is delivered locally through the executive office and these regional councils, and the legislature is pushing back because they want more control over how to invest these resources, I guess would be a better way to say it. So we got to see how that's going to work out, but we're preparing as if the economic competition is going to happen. Also, and the normal CFA process is going to continue this year, so we're working with municipalities and private sector businesses to get those CFA applications done. And then the regional business park in Town of Mohawk and Exit 27, again, slow but steady progress is being made there. Certainly it's going to be part of our pitch for the competition, and we've done a lot of the professional work that needs to be done on those sites, the environmental, the geology, the infrastructure, all that type of stuff. A lot of that work is being done. The IDA just approved on Friday, I believe, $30,000 to do a review of the Exit 27 site, and there's some interest there from one of the companies that was part of the process during the whole casino siting process, I guess. So we're still keeping an eye on that. Those are certainly our two biggest large lot industrial sites that present big opportunities for game changer type situations in the county. We did get some good news. One of the rail study for the regional business park site came back as the rail spur was a viable option for that site, which was huge. The national site selector that came in and identified this as a really good site said that the site would be 70% more attractive to businesses if that rail spur was active. So that was big news, and that was good news for that site as far as long-term development. But it's slow, steady progress, I would say, on those two. We're certainly working with local control and all that good stuff. So next, we have we're undertaking a county broadband study, try to leverage state dollars. As many of you probably heard in the governor's state of the state / executive budget speech, because he did it all at once this year. That's an initiative that he's pushing. We want to make sure when those dollars come down, we're ready. We have the information in place. So that's what that's about. And as well as we're trying to work with the Agricultural Society to solicit state funding for improvements to the fairgrounds. Obviously, with tourism being a big push, anything we can do to try to invest in that facility is certainly an improvement. But what we're looking at here is possibly an expansion of the ag arena, and we're advocating as hard as we can with our state legislators to try to get some funding there. And then the last thing on economic development, well, besides the branding, was Strike Force Montgomery County. This is a multi-pronged employment services campaign in partnership with New York State, Empire State Development, the State Department of Labor, to try to boost employment. Basically, money will be available to businesses looking to expand their workforce and can be used for on-the-job apprenticeship or customized training. So you're seeing here, there's some serious dollars that the state's going to be putting in here. And Montgomery County was selected as an area they'd like to target. The Strike Force approach has been successful in other areas of the state. We're certainly happy that the governor and the state are putting in real dollars for workforce development. Oftentimes, workforce development is that overlooked piece of economic development. Everybody thinks it's just about creating jobs, but we got to make sure that we have the people trained for the jobs. So that's a big part of economic development, and the key is going to be those partnerships with businesses. I'm going to be with the governor's office and some other folks at the Workforce Development Board meeting in the beginning of April. I certainly would like to attend. It's an open meeting. And we're going to be talking about this and trying to build that bridge to local businesses to try to get these dollars in their pockets so they can better train the employees. So that's happening. Branding. I handed out previously, so I'm not going to go into this in any great detail. What I talked about in the speech was that this isn't simply a logo and a tagline. lot of research went into this. There's a lot of good information that's coming back to us. We have the initial final report, but there's going to be a more lengthy report that's on its way and should be with us shortly. But things such as, identifying key industry sectors that are advantageous for us to promote in Montgomery County, whether it be food distribution or whatever it may be. That analysis will provide that, as well as really giving us a good idea as what people are thinking in the county and outside of the county. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see in some of the surveying, clearly job creation was the biggest concern, just behind attracting young professionals, and I'd almost say keeping young professionals here, tourism, developing our downtowns, agricultural-based businesses. Nothing really earth-shattering here, but really putting a structured, professional analysis together that we can use as a blueprint for the future. So a lot went into this, and it's the deployment of this is going to be critical moving forward. The brand platform that was developed was Montgomery County for people of strength, strong character, strong conviction, strong work ethic, strong will. Montgomery County, New York, nestled in the natural beauty and abundant resources of the Mohawk Valley, is a place where a history of determination and hard work welcome the future with a firm handshake, providing you, your family, and your business a home you can count on. This is that platform that we're going to use to get our message out there, not only outside of the county to attract businesses and people to come in and enjoy what we all know and love here, but also to help boost that community pride. There was two simultaneous branding initiatives going on, one between Fulton and Montgomery County that was focused on economic development. The Montgomery County brand is about economic development, but a lot of it is about community pride and promoting who we are and putting a better foot forward. And I think you're going to see us focus a lot on that, on this piece, and then our economic development officials will gravitate more towards the regional brand, which I am supportive of because I do think we do need to market ourselves as a region. We are not the capital district, we are not central New York, we are the Fulton Montgomery region, and we certainly have a lot to offer that is distinct and unique to us. So, some of the key deliverables that are going to happen and that we're working on as we speak. The first is an update of the county website and having a mobile version of that, as well as our tourism pieces are going to be updated, and it's all going to be consistent with the new brand, the new color palette, the new messaging, and all that stuff, and really establishing consistency throughout all of our efforts to put that better foot forward. We're hoping that the website will be done this year. It's going to take a lot of work, but why branding matters. We are obviously working hard to gain interest and improve the perception that developers have about the county. Improved marketing is a cornerstone of the regional business plan. It's one of the priorities. So we're really just following through on that plan. Again, the final report includes targeted core industry sector recommendations. We're really looking forward to getting that. We don't have that yet. One of the interesting components was the branding research showed a more negative perception from county residents than that of non-residents. So essentially, people that have been here think more highly of the county than the people that live here. So not to say this doesn't happen in other places, but I think that's something we should make a priority to try to change. This is a heck of a place to live, a lot of good things, and sometimes you just got to open your eyes and realize what you have, and I think the branding initiative can help do that. And lastly, we're presenting the county in a consistent, professional manner. It'll be a catalyst for both economic development and community pride. This is the point in the speech where I actually got a large round of applause, and it wasn't for me, it was for us. Because this was the point in the speech where I talked about how we've really set a new tone in the county. And I think the biggest noticeable difference for the, I don't want to say the average person, but just John taxpayer, is that the perception is that we're all working together. And I agree with that perception. And I think, first of all, I'd like to thank you for that. And I believe the way I said it was, it's not that we haven't had knockdown, drag out brawls. We've had heated debates, we've had differences of opinion, but I think the biggest thing is we've kept most of that outside of the headlines and outside of our public meetings. I mean, we've had meetings where we've disagreed, we've argued, we've been very passionate about what we believe, but, you know, we've really, when we get here, we put a good face on, we work well together, and I can tell you from just being out in the community, that's something that I get over and over again, is that, you know, you and the legislature seem to be working very well together. It's much more positive, and people are noticing that, and it's something that I think we should be proud of. And then I made the joke that it's been 14 months and we got a long way to go. So, which we do, but I think as long as we continue to, you know, communicate with each other and express our opinions and you know, have that professional level of respect, I think we're going to be just fine. We're going to continue to do this and continue to do this well and get some good results in the future. I always said, if you work hard and treat people well, the results will follow. And I think by going through this speech, you'll see, I think that is ringing true. We're getting good results because we're treating people well. Yes?
Can we go back 2 slides? Just wanted to comment on the one, just one more. Right at the very bottom, and I think this is a key thing, and I think it's something that we want to concentrate on, attracting second home buyers. Especially now, last year, the governor eliminated the inheritance tax, so that people from out of state, like, or even up, you know, downstate, come to our area, and they want to build a new home here. And for example, the town of Root, they are able to stabilize their budget every year because of new houses being built. It's an instant increase to the tax rolls, and secondly, it's people that are second home for them, and I think that's a great thing that you have there.
I've been hearing that a lot out of town of Charleston as well.
And town of Charleston too, another great example. Town of Glen.
Absolutely.
People that like great country.
And I think that goes to, you know, how, getting it out there. You know, I think how many people in New York City don't even know Montgomery County even exists.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, having that better image out there would certainly help that.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, and to Roy's point, and I'm just gonna use the village of Fort Plain. While it may not be new building, there's a lot of folks coming from the city for the second home who's taking those older homes that have some historical value and are actually doing something with them. And what I think we need to be cognizant of, I don't mean we in the room as much as those in our community, is we have to be willing to open our arms to those people. Because many times there's this perception that, well, if you're not from Fort Plain, you're never from Fort Plain, you're never gonna be. That's even if you lived in Canada area. And you know, that really we really need to focus on, you know, I think it's a great thing because, you know what, the old money's kind of dried up, and the new money is the people that have the ability to come and invest, and you should be treating those people, you know, with open arms and make them feel like they're part of your community. I don't know that we always, not us as the legislature, I know we will, we're trying to, but as communities, I don't know if we're always doing that to the best of our ability.
Yeah, I mean, I even see it as well. I mean, you know, within the county, there's differences. You might be a Montgomery County person, but you're just from the wrong side of it, right? So,
Could be the street over.
Yeah. So this is probably the area where I'm most proud of what we've done, hands down, no doubt about it. And I read, I don't have it here, but you know, part of the branding narrative describes Montgomery County people as we'll give you the shirt off our backs and that's nothing in return. And I think that sums up our, you know, public safety officials and our first responders and you know, with everything we've been through, you know, giving these folks the tools they need to be successful is certainly a priority of mine, it's been a priority of yours, and we've made a ton of good progress here, and I hope it's just a sign of things to come. So you know, again, I like to talk not just about what we're going to do, but what we've done, and be accountable to people. And you know, we said that we were going to look at these facility buildings and get a plan to reorganize and consolidate and modernize, and we've done that. And the shovel's going in the ground shortly up at the for the new public safety facility. We're looking to break ground, obviously, in the spring, and hopefully have a grand opening this fall. That's a big step forward, and it's something we've been talking about. It's been talked about for a long time, but we got it done, and that's something to be proud of. We also this year, and you know, we're already talking. We talked about it today with a number of legislators. Phase 2, we need to start the architectural, the engineering, and that brainstorming for what we're going to do with this building that we're sitting in right now, as well as the courthouse and the annex building. And so I would imagine in the not so distant future, we're going to be looking at some resolutions to take some action on that. But we're certainly got the ball rolling there, and that's going to be the priority for this year while we, have the brick and mortar progress up on the hill. So, that's if we could get that, situated this year, we might even be able to begin Phase 2 next year. So that's certainly exciting stuff. The communications upgrade. We made a multi-million-dollar investment in our communication systems. That's fantastic news. We also added the 211 resource for county residents. We have, one of the best emergency management apps in the whole state. And again, every time this is up, I use it as an opportunity. If everyone in this room or watching, the video online has not downloaded this app, you can get it for Android or iPhone. We have over 1,000 downloads already, and you get those notifications, road closures, weather alerts, all that stuff. You have emergency checklist information on there and how to be prepared at your home. It's a wealth of information, and these are all, not just talking about it, we're getting it done, and we did it together, and I'm very proud of that. Moving on. Also, we had, we used 1.1 million of our one-shot revenues to make key one-shot investments. 4 new patrol cars at the Sheriff's Department, handicap accessible veterans van. These people have gone and fight and, gave for our country, and we can't give them a ride to Albany because they're in a wheelchair. Well, we took care of that, and we're actually procuring that van as we speak. Equipment for DPW, a community service work truck, and we just sent out the memo yesterday to department heads for requests for the capital plan for this year, and the committee will be meeting shortly to review those requests. I did put a picture in here. This is actually some of the areas that were cleaned by our county workers out in Buffalo when they got 47 feet of snow. And this was the crew that dropped everything they were doing. They were asked on a Thursday if they'd go to Buffalo, and by Friday morning we had over a dozen guys drop everything they were doing there and go help out. So I was very proud of them for that. They did some good work up there, and I even got some good feedback from some of the other county officials up there saying that they did a heck of a job, and they were actually very impressed by their snow blower. So that went very well. I just kind of gave them a quick shout out at the speech. But that capital planning is important. We're staying on top of it. We're making those investments year after year, and that doesn't stop with just that. You'll see moving forward, we opened 2 new bridges this past year in the town of Root, I believe.
District 3.
And I got to tell you, the residents over there were thrilled. They were certainly in dire need, and there were numerous accidents at these bridges, and I think there was even death at one time. But we got it done. And moving forward, thanks to the legislature, we're going to be doing 2 more bridges in Canajahari, District 3.
Hey, what's up with that?
You got Midline Road.
But as you see here, there's plenty more work that needs to be done. Of our 92 bridges, 38 of them have been rehabilitated since '97. Of the remaining bridges, most of them were constructed prior to 1940, believe it or not. And 39% of those remaining bridges are structurally deficient. And right now our bridge program addresses 12 bridges and 1 culvert. So, if you want to take a look at that plan, we certainly can make that available. And again, 2 bridges in South Buell Road and McEwen Road, Canajahari, those will be on tap this year, and we'll get those done. And AECom is our partner there, and they've been doing a fantastic job. So, the next topic was the local government efficiency and shared services initiative that the governor put down, again, to make sure the taxpayers receive the various, how do I say this politely, the various incentives or property tax relief that is coming down from the state in various different forms. Now we have a circuit breaker type income tax, property tax relief, and we also have, you know, the checks that have formally come out. But we have to get this, the bottom line is we have to get this government efficiency and shared services plan done. So we're working on it. I think we've already done some good things. Our work on the solid waste and the taking care of our closed landfills is saving us over $100,000 a year compared to what the private option was. So that's going to be part of our plan. And again, the numbers still look good for that, and we're right on track there. We have the DSS satellite office opening up in Amsterdam. Again, for some of our program areas, so in our large program areas, you have 72% of the clients are from Amsterdam, and there's efficiencies there by putting the services close to where the need is. So that's going to help with our efficiency. We've held a government efficiency forum. I joke because I was actually shocked. We had about 100 elected officials from Montgomery County come together on a Thursday night to talk about local government. I mean, we had a packed room. It was fantastic, and we got some good feedback there. And now we're meeting individually with all 21 municipalities to discuss these initiatives down here. We also have, as you guys are well familiar with, Smart Lock. That's going to save us some serious dollars and will be part of the plan. But we have the countywide records management system. Kelly Farquhar is putting in a grant this month, if it's not in already. And we feel like we have a very good chance of receiving that grant for digital records management. We're going to do that at the county this year, and then apply for the same grant in March of next year to provide that service to the towns. So that'll be another shared service initiative. The DP Highway Maintenance Shared Equipment / Personnel System. Again, it's something that we're doing now, but we can do better. It can be more structured. We can have better reporting as to how much towns are saving the county, how much county are saving the towns. It does not matter in the eyes of New York State unless we have a good documentation of what the savings are, and this will help do this. And we've actually been working very closely with Oneida County. We're not reinventing the wheel. This is something they've implemented there, been very successful with, and we're going to implement here. And also have an intermunicipal agreement that will come before you at some point that details that relationship between the towns and the county. For example, a county truck is working on town business and it breaks. Who's responsible to fix it and pay for it? We have that all locked up in an IMA. It's very clear, the expectations there. We won't have those battles. And we might all work together now, but get some different personalities in there years out, maybe it won't work so well. But if you have that intermunicipal agreement in place, it holds everybody accountable, and there's clear expectations of how that shared service initiative will work. Bulk buying for legal services and contract negotiations, something we're working on with the towns, as well as what is going to for sure be a big topic this year, and certainly I think it's probably going to be one of our big topics this year. A consolidated health and human services wing here at the county. So this is what we're working on. I'd be happy to talk a little bit more with anyone about that as we move forward. And lastly, the organizational improvements that we've made. One of the things we're doing is we're developing a comprehensive plan to generate feedback from residents in order to gauge effectiveness of our programs and services and evaluate current needs and any areas of improvement. This is part of our PAGE group strategic development process. Basically what we're doing is we're doing surveys and questionnaires to get an idea of what people think about the services we're providing and get that feedback. Something that we really haven't done here at the county, and I think that again is just a tool for us to make better decisions. Moving on, professional development. This has certainly been, I think, in my humble opinion, one of the biggest steps forward we've made internally. By focusing on professional development, I believe it's a slow grind, but we're improving workforce culture. And I'll just sum this up by saying the dynamic that I'm seeing amongst county employees, and I'm just going to speak bluntly on this, is, when there wasn't an administrator in charge of day-to-day operations and there wasn't consistent practices across the departments, what would happen is an employee or even a department head would say, well, if they're not following the rules, I'm not going to follow the rules. So you have everybody marching to the beat of their own drum. What is starting to change is now you have department heads and employees saying, well, you know what? If they gotta follow the rules, then you gotta follow the rules. Or if I gotta follow the rules, you gotta follow the rules. So it's that dynamic is changing, and you're seeing people saying, well, you know what? I'm gonna follow and do what I'm asked for, but you know what? The next person over there, this is what's going on over there, and that needs to be addressed. And then we're taking these as they come and addressing them. And it's really, you're starting to see that change. It's gonna take time. Certainly I've learned patience along the way, but it's happening because we're being proactive about labor management. We're giving that resource to department heads to give them the information they need. I think DPW is a perfect example of that. And also having consistency in interpretations of contracts and resolutions and policies. Just having that consistency is clarifying expectations for employees. We also are trying to improve internal communication and collaboration. The Page Group has been fantastic for that. You have people working together that probably haven't talked, have worked in the same place, but haven't talked for years. And we're also providing opportunities for leadership development. We're trying to promote from within. And I'm going to embarrass her right now, but I think Nicole is a perfect example of this. Nicole was working in DSS, certainly was held in high regard by fellow employees. We gave her an opportunity in labor management. She's done absolutely nothing but excel in that position and work her tail off. And now she has an opportunity to be a department head. That's the type of thing we want to see in the county. People are going to show up, work hard, do what they got to do, be professional, respect people, have a little fun in the process. Let's reward them. And that's what we're trying to do here at the county. And you're seeing results because of that. And you're seeing people take more pride in what they do. Also, we're doing, as Barb said, we have the employee recognition program. So it's not all about just beating down the rules and the procedures and all that, but it's also about recognizing people that are doing a good job. And this is a peer recognition program that we're doing, and I think that's going to give it some added credibility. And then you've got the first report for January and February. I think you'll be just as pleased with the March and April report, but we're really trying to focus on risk management and employee safety. That was a message that I heard loud and clear from the legislature when we were talking about our property and casualty brokerage services that we were looking to procure last year. And again, big shocker, Matt wanted to do it with a team approach. So we put together a committee with a whole host, whether we have unions involved, we have our union officials and safety experts involved. We have our insurance broker safety expert, our insurance carrier safety folks, our workers' comp safety folks, you name it. They're department heads, employees, they're all working together on this committee. I'm not going to go into all this because you have the update, but I think they're making good progress. I'm going to keep staying on top of it. We will stay on top of it. Suggestions and concerns are always welcome, but I think this is a big step forward as far as having that focus on employee safety and managing our risk. And I think we're going to make some good progress. And the goal is not only to have a better workplace, but also hopefully to save some money on our liability insurance premiums. And we had a great year this year. I mean, we saved. There's another area. There's $100,000 off the top on our coverage with our carrier. I mean, that's a big victory. And hopefully we can continue to bring that down by showing, a couple of the carriers we're concerned about our loss runs and some of the safety issues that we've had. And if we can improve on this, there's a good chance we can lower those premiums even further. And I finished it up with, the theme that we're going to see from now until probably long after we're gone is that Montgomery County, is made of something stronger. And, the way I finished my speech at the breakfast was, the greatest thing for me has been the relationships we've built, the people I've met, and it's truly made me feel and believe in what this is. We're not pretending to be something we aren't. I really think Montgomery County is full of good, hardworking, determined people, and we are made of something stronger, and we're going to continue to get that message out there and take it from there. So I think I just squeezed an hour and a half speech into maybe 20 minutes. Obviously, this is a group effort, team effort. I appreciate everybody's help and support. And if there's anything that we went through quick today and you want some more detail on, feel free. And I'm also open for ideas for next year. I think possibly we hold this speech in the courthouse and we do it once and that's that. Maybe do it in the evening or maybe more residents can attend. So take care.
Okay, thank you.
I looked at it too.
I'll call the meeting of Budget and Finance to order. Is there any discussion from the floor? Hearing none, I'll move on to a resolution correcting the 2015 town and county tax rolls, various parcels, real property. Can I have a motion and a sponsor in a second? Tom, and second, Bob. Move it to full board?
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. Resolution, here we go. Resolution appointing member to the audit committee. Any volunteers?
I'll sponsor.
You'll right.
I'll second. If you sponsor in second, you don't.
I do just want to say, Barb, thank you very much for filling in for me in these past few months.
It's been fun.
Bob will, okay. So we'll put you down for April.
not 3.
No.
6 months.
All right.
What, 9 more weeks? I mean, 9 more months?
Resolution, the next resolution is a resolution approving the abstract of the audit claims, Office of the Legislature. Sponsor second. Martin and Barbara. Move it to full board. Okay. Okay, the last resolution is pursuant to resolution number 28, 2015, Montgomery County Legislators authorized the county executive to sign a stipulation and settlement agreement.
I'll sponsor.
Sponsor in second, okay. And I believe this is for the transfer of the funding, correct? Or the money?
Okay.
Tom, yeah.
Just to give a little, we were here at our last meeting whenever we passed the resolution to authorize the executive to go ahead and sign the agreement. Part of your resolution was amended to say that it would come from the sewer district's pot of money or fund. We need to transfer money from the general fund to the sewer district in order for that to happen, to meet the deadline of hopefully the closing, which will be March 31st. So it's imperative that we do it tonight, get it on to committee, through committee, and onto our full board meeting for the 24th. And also, I've got to do another. That's just an update on it. It's because of your amendment to the resolution.
Right. Okay, thank you for
Sorry,
that.
just so you know that, the accounts aren't in there, I just realized that I didn't put them in.
Okay.
But they'll be in for next week, and it's, like Tom said, it's coming from, it's the appropriated fund balance for the sewer district.
Right.
Increasing that by 250,000, and then I forget what the account is that it's paying out, but it's one of the sewer district funds.
I believe it's the general fund balance going to, can I ask Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, the general fund balance has to, in essence, let that sewer fund borrow money because there isn't enough in that sewer fund to do that.
Well, we're waiting for the FEMA reimbursement.
Well, you're waiting for FEMA reimbursement, but if that's spent, you're gonna be also waiting for them to pay it through their funds as they come in. That's kind of the way Sean explained it to me, but either way, you'll have it on your desk for the resolution.
Brian?
No, I was just gonna ask about the accounts, and I will wait to see what the specific accounts are. And I'll probably have a question if it's coming from the county's general fund, if there's going to be some form of IOU or an interfund transfer in the future to reimburse that money from the sewer district's budget within the county budget.
Initially, the county, as I understand it from Sean, has, I think, 220,000 that they're transferring over because of the FEMA money. So in essence, they have it for that. But then they're gonna have to pay the FEMA bill, in essence, kind of our discussion of why this should just be what you've offered up anyway.
He has it coming from the G599, which is the sewer district's appropriated fund balance. He's increasing that by 250,000
From where though?
from the sewer district, and then increasing the court-related expense account in the sewer district.
I think that's great. I don't think there's money in there to do that. I don't believe there's money in that general fund of the sewer district to do that, but if there is, that's,
He probably already sent transfers over from the FEMA money.
maybe he did.
Those are the accounts.
Yeah, maybe he sent the money over from the FEMA money. All right,
And
that's
that's why there's money in there to cover.
great. We still have to pass the resolution though.
And just another question,
Right.
we're not gonna leave the words add-on in the title, right?
No.
And under other, we talked last month about a or going out for RFP for accountant consultant type of individual or firm. I drew up an RFP. I did give a copy to Megan, and she's gonna review it too. But you have it in front of you. Does anybody have any questions? Ryan?
Yeah, I guess my big question, just looking over this briefly, would be, are we going out for a contractual position, or are we going out for consulting services? Because I see that it says part-time consultant and then hours and assigns governed by Montgomery County Legislature. So I just would have a question whether we're going out for, to have an accountant on like a contractual retainer type basis, or if we're actually contractually hiring somebody.
Well, I thought the board would feel more comfortable with a as-needed type basis, meaning that if we're not using them for a month or two, then obviously there's no payment involved, but as his services are required, then we would pay him or her or the firm.
So is your question about the verbiage of part-time? 'Cause
Yeah, in the hours and assignments, yeah, we'd be paying.
Maybe I
for
can
it.
ask Megan to work on.
I guess
the-
my concern would be is if we're contractually hiring, I don't even know if we can contractually hire somebody on a part-time basis, then there would be other personnel obligations, I would think, in place, where if we're contracting with an accountant for opinions and consulting services, we would be billed on an hourly basis so I'd just like to see some clarification.
Okay,
on that.
I'll try to get it to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Yeah,
Barbara?
he kind of was asking what my question was, is what are we looking for? Are we looking for service? And I think Megan might be able to bring back what I'm looking for. Before we really do it, what is it that we're looking for? Is it, before we send out RFPs, I would want to really lock down what we're looking for. Are we looking for a position? Are we looking for the service? Are we looking, what are the needs that we need to be filled?
Maybe I can use Matt, if you would want to comment. and you don't have to say the name, but you signed a contract last year with an accountant,
Yeah.
consultant.
Yeah.
Now you used that person when you wanted to. You didn't have an
Yeah, it was,
ongoing.
you know, as issues arose and we were looking for feedback or guidance
Right.
or another perspective, then, you know, set the meeting and lay out, you know, very specifically what I was looking for.
Right.
And then we'd be billed on a hourly basis.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
So,
Yes, Mark?
I think we're getting hung up on the part-time issue of the contract. They would be part-time or full-time, whatever, it's as needed if they're under.
Okay. I can have Megan work on the wording on that.
That way we-
Sorry for the
No,
confusion.
No,
Yeah.
that way we avoid all those payroll obligations. you know.
Sure.
Aren't you basically looking for a consultant on an as-needed basis?
Correct, correct.
I think that part-time thing was more of a parameter of.
Yeah, I didn't want the board to think that this person was gonna be on the payroll type person, you know, so, okay. Very good. So, I guess I'll get back to you with, the information that you requested on the wording. Also, I just wanna put a shout out that Sawyer Fredericks is going to be on the Voice tonight. So if you want to watch him from 8 to 9, our homegrown
He was
celebrity.
Sunday on the farm.
Sunday on the farm. Though he's not in my
We
district,
don't have
but
bridges in District 4. We
have potholes in District 1.
so things are looking good for Montgomery County. Anyways, a motion to adjourn.
Wait,
I
Tom.
think we should, serious now, I think we should recognize him as a
I think so
legislature
too.
and/or the county exec, I think.
But do you want to wait until if he goes on?
Maybe if we get him here now, he'll tell us what happened.
It's pretty tight-lipped about it.
proclamation for him.
Yeah, if we get him here now, he'll tell us what happened. He knows we can all keep a secret.
Right.
They do some sort of like hometown tour. Who's this coach? They can come to the legislature.
Pharrell.
Yeah.
we'll give him a.
Yeah, let's get
Could we
Pharrell.
get magic hats?
I'll give you my neon card.
There you go.
Terry, if I could, just for a second.
Sure.
Back on the sanitary sewer district, we all know that we have an agreement. I think Matt signed it today. I'm gonna sign it, I think tomorrow is from the, I just want you to know that, part of that agreement was also that we inspect the property, make sure, Matt authorized, me to do that on behalf of the county, and also as chair of the sewer district along with the superintendent up there. We did that today. All looks promising, everything's good, and hopefully we'll have this behind us shortly.
Good, very good. And on that note, we'll have a motion adjourned. Martin, second. Bob? Barbara? Adjourned. And we'll get home by 8.